All right, let's look at NFL passing yards. You can bet on it at DraftKings. Obviously, 5 games into the season. The buys begin this week, but everybody's played 5 games, and here are the current NFL passing odds. This is to lead, have the most passing yards at the end of the season, at the end of the regular season. Right now, Tom Brady leads the NFL with 1,767 yards. He's 44 years old, coming off his first ever 400-yard, 5-touchdown performance. Derek Carr is number 2. He had the big start. Didn't go so well this past week, but he's at 1,605. Matthew Stafford's at 1,587. Justin Herbert, 1,576. Those are the top 4 in terms of yardage. You'll see those numbers on the right. But in terms of the betting odds, Brady, the leader, is the short shot at plus 250. Imagine that. Stafford, who is in third currently at 6-1. Derek Carr, who's in second currently, is at 6-1. Then Patrick Mahomes, who's got 1,490. He's at 7-1. Justin Herbert, who, as I mentioned, is in fourth. He's plus 750. Everybody else, double digits, including Kyler Murray, who's kind of knocking at the door, too.
I think we kind of tipped our hand with this one a little bit earlier, but the way that we think that this season could go for the Chiefs, I think the bet here is 7-1 on Mahomes. Let's not forget, too, they move Clyde Edwards-Helaire to IR as well, so now he's not going to be back there. There's just a lot that points in the direction of Mahomes here because we're also getting a team that is probably, let's just face the facts here, probably going to be in competitive games for the duration of the season, how bad that defense is.
Yeah.
And so they are not going to be able to just sit on leads. They're not going to be able to just run the ball and try to bleed the clock and things like that. Like, they're going to need to keep scoring, and they're going to have to keep scoring through the air because that's what they're most efficient at. So, yeah, I mean, I think Mahomes is the 7-1 here for sure. Because, listen, the way that Brady and them are going right now, they could easily be cruising into that 1 slot. And if they're in that 1 slot, then he's not even going to play one of the games. He might only play, depending on how far they lock this down, maybe he doesn't play, in a game and a half or something like that. Again, we've never had a 17-game season, so we don't know how these teams are going to manage these players down the stretch. But you would have to think that 44-year-old Tom Brady would at least have some sort of management, you would think, as we get closer to the end of the season. So, yeah, I mean, everything for me points to Mahomes. The situation, the talent around him, the frequency of how they pass, again, the Clyde Edwards-Helaire going to IR, like everything kind of really just snowballs there for
Mahomes at 7-1, better than Dak at 12-1. I get it that the Dallas defense has been much better than we expected, but if Dallas's defense all of a sudden fell back, then he's kind of the same thing, right?
There is, except for just that division they play in, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're with the Giants, with Washington, are they really going to need to be kind of keeping the foot on the gas? Can't they just rely on Zeke and Pollard to
when are they clinched? You know what I mean? When do they have that division clinched? Yeah, I think this is one that I think Mahomes.
Actually, this would be bettable for me. Actually, if this was available here,
I would bet this.
Like, this would be bettable for me.
I would bet this. I also think that, like, talking about Tom Brady's side of this, that is completely unbettable to me. Plus 250 this early in the season with everything that could happen, like, that number is, I cannot believe it's that short. How about
now in a Division II that we're pretty convinced they are like head and shoulders above all of the other teams in the division, to where they're not going to have to sweat that division most likely at all.
So there's one name maybe people are wondering why that's not on this graphic. And I kind of just had to do a double take on it. And this is how much these sports books aren't respecting what Lamar Jackson's done so far. 100-1, and he is 5th in the league right now in passing.
I was wondering. I was looking. I was like, who's 5th?
Yeah, that's Lamar.
Yeah,
100-1.
I know.
I don't think that's
bettable on principle, though.
No, it is bettable on principle. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's bettable on principle.
It's 5th in the league. Yeah.
That's maybe more bettable in principle than the Mahomes interception thing at 100-1.
Quite honestly. I mean, look, what we saw from the Ravens on Monday night might be this year's version of this Ravens team that we are just going to see, right? I mean, with all of those we just kind of wrote off that, like, they lose their top 3 running. It's like we're like, when you're going 4 deep, it's not even 4 deep on the chart anymore. They're signing guys off Devontae Freeman off the street. They're signing Latavius Murray off the street. Like, they're signing all these people off the street. They can't just go in and recreate what they've done over the last couple of years with just dudes that they pulled off the street. I mean, this might be the version of the Ravens that we just see for this season until they get some of these guys back.
I'd probably go and bet both of those, thinking that if those two guys are going to keep having to do all that they're having to do every single game, one of them's probably not playing 15 plus games this season. So it'd be nice to have the other one in pocket. Yeah,
I like him.
I like both those.
Mahomes and Lamar on principle.